Okay, well, welcome. This is Jonathan Dupree. This is Real Estate 101. I am live on Facebook, live on Zoom, and I'm live from Austin, Texas. I'm so excited. I've kind of had to rig this tonight to get it to work. Because I don't have all my stuff unpacked yet, and I've got, if you could see the lights, and it's still really poor lighting in here. So I apologize for that. But what I promise you is next week I'll have everything all the way set up, and you'll be able to see great. And I'll have my flip chart up, and we are going to work on growing our real estate businesses. I don't care what brokerage you're with. All of this is 100% generic training designed to help you go from where you are to where you want to be and collapse those time frames in your real estate business. We've been focusing on the 3 L's of real estate: leads, listings, and leverage, from the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And last week I set up kind of an introduction and talked about the 3 L's. And then tonight and the next several weeks, we're going to focus on the different mechanisms for lead generation and multiple strategies. Tonight we're going to focus specifically on for sell by owners and expired listings. And you go, why are we going to start there? Like, that's the starting point. Well, it is the low hanging fruit on the tree. And if you want to go get listings, it is a great place to start. I started my real estate career working for sell by owners. Everyone said, call your friends and family. And I worked for my mother. She had her own brokerage. She's been an agent for 47 years. My sister was an agent. My wife was an agent. My aunts, my grandmother, everyone in my family was in real estate. My friends. I was the last person to get my real estate license. And so I started calling for sell by owners because everyone either was an agent for my mom or was a client of my mom, my sister, my wife. And I started working for sell by owners. My second month, I had 7 closings in real estate, all as a result of listing for sell by owners. Now, I didn't list and sell all those homes. I listed those homes. Some of them went under contract and sold. I sold those people who lived in those homes new homes, and I got some referrals, all from the activity generated from working at listing for sell by owners. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the challenges and the opportunities. And then the next several weeks, we're going to focus on your sphere of influence, farming, radio advertising, print advertising, internet leads to generate listing leads. We're focusing again on, if you remember, we're focusing on listings, leads, listings, and leverage. And the reason that you want to focus on lead generating for listings is because listings will always bring you buyers, always. But buyers don't always bring you sellers. And you want to make sure that you're leveraging your time, and you can go out and you can list 15 or 20 homes in a month. You can only work with, on average, maybe 6 to 8 buyers at any given time if you're an individual agent, without having to pull your hair out. And so it's a way for you to maximize your efforts and maximize your time and be more efficient. And you will double or triple your gross commission income if you focus on getting listings versus focusing on getting buyers. And a lot of times new agents want to start in the business by focusing on getting buyers over sellers because I guess they feel like there is some noble cause to working with buyers, or maybe they feel uneasy working with sellers, when the reality is it's easier, I think, to work with sellers than it is to work with buyers, especially when you're new to the business and you want to really maximize your time, your energy, and your effort for the return on that investment. So that's what we're going to be focusing on tonight. I'm going to do my very best to bounce between multiple platforms. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like my flag. You know, that was the first thing I worked to put up. I've got to give a shout out to Jeff Hadley in Mississippi. And Jeff handmade this flag for me. And it was the first thing that I put up. So I'm glad that you like that. I want to go bounce back and forth. So I'll be doing my very best to see the questions that are asked. I might have to ask, go bounce back and forth and miss some of them. I'll do my very best. What's up, Ben Fairfield? So good to see you, man. Can't wait for our video tomorrow. So anyway, hey, listen, let me tell you a couple of quick things before we dive into this session this evening. I posted both in the chat box on Zoom and also in Facebook a link to some useful information. You can go there and you can learn more about a couple of things. I've got a phenomenal group coaching program that I just launched through realestatemastoryschool.com. That group coaching program is $47 a month. Like, I really made it to where it was a no-brainer for any agent who wants to grow their business. You have access to all the courses that I write and that I teach at no extra cost. You don't have to pay. So I've got a course coming up on August 19th, How to Recruit Realtors. It's $300. You could just go to that course, or if you're in my group coaching program, you'll have access to that course for free, and you'll have access to live trainings. You'll have access to the recordings, the replays. There's lots of self-study resources and tools in there. My script book is in there, and you have guaranteed one group coaching call a month with me via Zoom. And even some months I'll have more than one, because I'll be interviewing top agents or leaders in the real estate industry that you'll have access to. So if you want information, that's in the useful links, along with some of the other courses, my script book, all that kind of good stuff. Also, I posted a link to a strategy session with me. And if you're listening, and you say, I can't see it, I'll repost it again in a minute, but it's simply meetingwithjonathan.com. So if you think in your head, I want a meeting with Jonathan, meetingwithjonathan.com. That'll take you to where you can schedule. The first option on that list of services is business strategy call. After tonight, you're going to want to schedule. I don't care what company you're with, EXP, Keller Williams, Exit Realty, realty executives, mom and pop brokerage. I don't care. You're going to want to schedule a business strategy call with me to really understand why you should look at your real estate business through the lens of technology. And I'm telling you, you're going to want to go to that site and schedule a time to chat. So that's enough about that. Let's dive into this session. Let's get down to it and focus on lead generating for listings, specifically for sell by owners and expireds. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up a short presentation for you guys. I only have a handful of slides to show you tonight, but I'm going to pull them up for you. Okay, so let's dive right into this, and let's focus on lead generation. And before we even get too far into the presentation, it's really important for you to understand this concept. Leads are the lifeblood of your business. I mean, the reality is, if you don't have enough leads coming in to meet or exceed your goals, then you have a lead generation problem. I can't see your hands. I can't see your faces. I can maybe see your comments. I'm not going to distract from the training by trying to look at those, but I'd love for you to just put in the comment in Facebook or the chat box in Zoom. If you feel like you don't have enough leads coming in to meet or exceed your goals, just say something like, hey, that's me, or right on, or yes, something like that, so I can see. I would venture to say it's really probably most of us in this training tonight would say, I don't really truly have enough leads coming in to meet or exceed my goals. Is the number one challenge agents face when I talk to them, whether in a coaching session or just casual conversation, and we're talking about their business, and I say, how are things going? What is your biggest challenge? That's a question I ask agents all the time. What is your biggest challenge? And the number one answer to that question is not having enough people to talk to, not being in front of enough people, not having enough appointments, not having enough listings, not having enough closings, which all comes down to lead generation, not having enough leads coming in to meet or exceed your goals. And so that being the case, this is why you have to understand, and not only understand, but come to grips with lead generation is the lifeblood of your business. And if it's the lifeblood of your business, it means it is the one thing that you have to do day in and day out. You have to make a serious commitment to lead generation if you truly want this business, real estate, to pay you like a business. It means you're going to treat it like a business. And if you're going to treat it like a business, it means that every day you've got to get up, even when you don't feel like it, even when things are tough, even when you don't see the money coming in, and you have to go lead generate. I told my son Noah, he's 19 years old. I said, son, I want you to remember this one thing. I told him the first day he was licensed as an agent. He was 18 years old. He graduated from high school that same day. The next morning we met at a coffee shop and we start working on his business and on lead generating. And I said, son, I want you to remember this one thing. Talk to people, get a check. Don't talk to people, don't get a check. And it's that simple in this business. It's no different. So I want you to think of these each lead generation mechanism that we're going to talk about over the next several weeks, because we're going to spend several weeks. I feel like a pastor, right? We were at church this morning, they were doing this series, and I told my wife, we're doing a series over the next probably 2 months on the 3 L's, and we're going to break down over the next several weeks the lead generation mechanisms for your business. And then you're going to identify or find the 2 or 3 strategies that you can identify with and say, I'm going to run with these over the next 90 days and master these before I add any other lead generation strategies to my business. And most of these, honestly, don't cost you anything. I'm not telling you to go buy leads. That's totally different than lead generation. Totally different. And I think in our mind, we have convinced ourselves. I'm doing this video tomorrow and I'm talking about the 2 battles of real estate. You're going to want to watch it. And one of them is over technology. And agents have put themselves in a position where we are paying companies like Zillow money to use our own data to turn around to sell us leads back off the data that we create, off the clients we've created, and we happily give them money, and they want to have us exit the business. Like they want to see you out of the business and irrelevant to the transaction. That's not lead generation. And a lot of times we think that as an agent that is. Most of the ideas I'm sharing with you, they're not going to cost you any money at all to implement. You just have to do it. You just have to take action. And you can benefit from seeing how your peers or your colleagues in the business have struggled and how they also have succeeded through multiple lead generation strategies. It doesn't mean you're going to apply all of these, but I think it's really important. I'm going to share some real examples over the next several weeks of agents. I'm going to even bring some agents into this training where they can share their stories and what went right and what went wrong, so you can learn from that. Anthony Robbins, he talks a lot about an unlimited power and awaken the giant within, how modeling others is the fastest way to success. When you can see what someone did and what went right and what went wrong, you can collapse the time frames and you can do the similar activities and expect the same results, except you can avoid the mistakes or the challenges. You're going to learn multiple lead generation strategies, and then, like I said, make the best decisions and take the best 2 or 3 strategies or ideas that you connect with, and then run with those and master those over the next 90 to 120 days, and then add or layer to that other lead generation strategies as you master the ones that you're working on. Does that make sense? Hope that does. Hope you're excited about this next several weeks. So let's dive into FSBOs. Let's talk for a second about the challenges with FSBOs. And if you're new to real estate and you're going, what is a FSBO? A for sale by owner, someone who is saying, I want to sell my home and I want to sell it by myself. Here are 4 common challenges with both for sale by owners and expired listings, listings that didn't sell the first time around. And when you think about this, you think about why those listings didn't sell. It could be for multiple reasons. It could be overpriced, an unrealistic seller. It could be a seller who had a weak agent at a weak moment in time and they wanted to sell their home, but that agent didn't know how to properly. It could be all kind of reasons, but for some reason it didn't sell, and they want to sell their home. So here are the challenges that I have seen over the years with for sale by owners and expireds, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the opportunities. The first is they're scarce, competitive, and difficult to convert. I mean, you think about that for a second. I mean, there are lots of expireds and lots of for sale by owners, but you have to weed through and find out who's realistic, like who really wants to sell, who's ready, willing, and able. They're ready to sell, they're willing to sell, they're able to sell, they have enough equity in their home to pay a commission, they have enough equity in their home to make it work out, they want to realistically price their property so that it sells, they want to hire professionals so that the professional will help them navigate through the transaction and they're not telling you what to do the entire time. You got to make sure there's a alignment there between the client and you yourself. So they're scarce, they're competitive, and they're difficult to convert. The second is, and we're going to break these down in just a second, is that successful conversion requires a high level of skill. Let's face it. If you're competing against other agents who are really talented when it comes to scripts and dialogue, what to say to set the appointment, what to say to get the seller to have a certain expectation when you show up, what to say when objections come up, either in the phone call or on the appointment or in the follow-up process, that's a skill set that needs to be developed and learned. The skill set used on the appointment to do a certain type of listing presentation, and the skill set and ability to move someone through a process is really important. And so that's a challenge. If you're brand new and you don't have the skill set, you got to figure out how to close the learning curve gap really quick. You got to go, hey, I've got to master this stuff. I've got to learn my scripts. I've got to role play my scripts. I've got to really understand the common objections that a for sale by owner or an expired seller would give me so that I can overcome those and increase my conversion ratio. The third is FSBO and expired lists contain unusable phone numbers. Man, I get this all the time. Agents use services like Landvoice or RedX or Mojo, whatever it is. And they go, the numbers aren't good. Well, you've got to do a little investigating as an agent. You got to take the time to do that and kind of weed through. And that could be a challenge if you're on your own and you're an individual agent and you're really working to be as efficient as you can. And sometimes you just go, I don't know where to turn to do that work and sort through and find the right numbers to make connections and have conversations. And the fourth is FSBOs exclusively use the internet to market their home. Right? I mean, let's really think about it. Rarely do you see a for sale by owner doing a great job of print advertising. Rarely do you see for sale by owner getting their home into the multiple listing service. Rarely do you see them having great photos and videos or having a great network to turn to promote their home. And that could be a challenge for them, but it also could be a challenge for you if you don't know how to overcome that. I see some questions, and I'm going to do my very best to try to go in between and answer some of these. What is the best way if you're a dual career agent? I'm going to chat about that in just a second. And sorry if it sounds a little bit choppy. I don't know how to correct that right now. Part of it is, I'm sure it's because I'm kind of rigged right now since I just moved to Austin, Texas. And my camera just shut off. Oh, perfect. Thanks. I'm trying to get my camera back on, and if it doesn't come back on, then I'm all good, and I'll just keep going. As long as you guys can still hear me, that's all that's important at this point. There we go. We're back. Perfect. Sorry about that. Let me go back one. Okay, so let's talk about this first challenge. They're scarce, competitive, and difficult to convert. You have to master. This is not an option. It's a must. You have to master your scripts and your ability to overcome objections and move people through a process. When you're listing for sale by owners and expireds, it is a definite process, not an event. Now, I will tell you the time frame for expireds is shorter than the time frame for sale by owners. We know through Hobbs Herder and through the National Association of Realtors that the average time that it takes for sale by owner to list their home with a realtor is 8 weeks. That is a statistic that's been proven. And we also know that 86% of for sale by owners eventually list with the realtor. So out of every 10 homes, 8.6 of them that are for sale by owners are going to list with a realtor. The reason most don't list for sale by owners is because they see it as an event. They go on an appointment, they don't get a listing, and they give up and they don't follow up, and so they just stop. And it is a process. And so you have to move people through a process that's on average going to last at least 8 weeks, where you're touching them maybe twice a week, at least once a week. That a bird just flew right into my window and just nailed it, just crushed it. Sorry about that. Then my ADD just kicked in and I just flew right, just nailed my window. But you have to master your scripts and your dialogue and be able to overcome objections and move people through a process and know that it's not just an event. For example, every part of your script has to be from the moment that you're calling to get an appointment. My son Noah, I'm going to circle back to that. His second day as a licensed agent, we met at this little coffee shop, Community Coffee in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I said, today, Noah, we're going to call for sale by owners. He said, I don't know what to say. I said, that's okay. Here's a script. And I gave him a piece of paper and I had a script. And I said, I want you to start reading this. Now let's role play it some. And it's okay. You can have it in front of you and read it to me while we're role playing. And he did. And then I said, now you're going to listen to me use this script on live calls. And I gave him an earbud and I had one and I called and we dialed some for sale by owners. And I said, hi, I'm calling for the owner of the home for sale. And they would say, this is the owner. I'd say, fantastic. My name is Jonathan Dupree and I'm in real estate. How are you doing today? And they would go, we don't want to work with a realtor. And I knew they would say that because the script set them up to say that. And then I would say, fantastic, I understand. There are a lot of realtors I don't like to work with either. Anyway, is your home still available? And that verbiage right there, overcoming that objection, has them set back a little bit, and they're not ready for that. And they just go, yes, it is. Great. Would you be offended? This is a key part of that script. Would you be offended if I took 10 or 15 minutes to come by and preview it? Now they're going to give me an objection, and it's going to be one of a handful of things. They're going to tell me, we don't want to list our house. Fantastic. I'm not calling to list it. I'm only calling to preview it. Would you be offended if I took 10 or 15 minutes to come by and preview your home? I'm circling back to what I want to do. Would you be offended if I came by to preview it? Why? Because I know it's a process. It's not an event, and I just want to get them in my process. That's it. They might say, we're not paying you a commission. Fantastic. I'm not asking you to pay me a commission. I'm only asking if I could come by and preview your home. So again, would you be offended if I took 10 or 15 minutes to come by and preview your home? Do you have any buyers? I don't know. I work with a lot of buyers in your area. However, I haven't seen your home yet, so I'm not sure it will be a fit. So again, would you be offended if I came by and took 10 or 15 minutes to preview your home? All I'm trying to do is circle back to set an appointment. That's all the phone is for. I know if I can set an appointment with an expired or with a for sale by owner and get them in my process and get enough of them in my process. I don't need all of them to list with me. I only need a handful every month to list with me. And I know that if I call enough every day and set enough appointments every day, Some are going to not show up on that appointment. Their house is going to be dark, but some are. And I'm going to put them in my process, and I'm going to follow up with them for 8 weeks. And at the end of that 8 weeks, some of them are going to list with me on week 2. Some are going to list on the first time I go. Some are going to take all 8 weeks before they list, and some aren't going to list at all. But it's a process. And if I do it enough, the law of large numbers comes into play, and I will get listings. Where does it all start? Your scripts. Being able to have a conversation and you be the most prepared person in that conversation. Now, I've got tons and tons of scripts. If you're in our Facebook group, Real Estate 101, you can go to the file section. There's lots of free scripts. I have a script book. You can go to getmyscriptbook.com, or if you're in my group coaching program, it's in the resource section for you. And that's at realestatemastoryschool.com. And the script book is at getmyscriptbook.com. There's a whole section of scripts just for sale by owners when it comes to appointments. There's a whole section for prospecting, a whole section for listing presentation for sale by owners, follow up, handling objections. I mean, it's all in there for sale by owners, and a whole section for expireds. The second thing is you have to have a proven system when you're following up with for sale by owners and with expireds. You got to have a proven system. I use a system that is over 8 weeks, and it's really easy to remember. 4 weeks of sharing. Share, share, share. Share, 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 share. 4 shares, 4 weeks of sharing. 2 weeks of giving. I'm sorry. It's 4 weeks of giving, 2 weeks of sharing, and then 2 weeks of closing the gap, ready to go. Hey, listen, let's see if there's a fit here. I want to list your home. So the what are you giving them? It doesn't matter. A special report, a property condition disclosure form, something that's of value. And how are you giving it to them? It doesn't matter. You create the system. I don't want to tell it to you because mine might not work for you, but mine, I would give them a book. It was 52 ways to sell your home fast and for top dollar without a realtor. And I give it to them because I want to break down the barrier that they don't want to work with a realtor. At the end of that book, they go, God, I can't do all this stuff. Jonathan, just come list my house. The second week, I give them a property disclosure. The third week, I gave them a special report about how the founder of ForSaleByOwner.com had this really high dollar condo in New York and couldn't sell it on his own ForSaleByOwner.com site. So he hired a realtor, and the realtor sold it right away. And the For Sale by Owner guy had it underpriced, and that's why it wasn't selling. And so I'd give that special report to them. So it's 4 weeks of giving them something, whether it's through email, physical mail, dropping by and giving it to them, but 4 weeks of that. And then 2 weeks of sharing. Share a story. You know, the last For Sale by Owners that listed with our firm, if you don't have your own story, share one from your firm. That listed with our firm, we sold their home in 30 days. Let me share how. My last clients who listed with me were playing golf this weekend versus holding an open house because they knew they had a professional working aggressively and proactively to find a buyer for their home. Let me share with you how I can do that for you. And then the last 2 weeks are exploring. Explore. I'd like to sit down with you and take 25 minutes and just explore what it would look like to really get your home on the market. I know you think it's on the market, but it's really not. And I'd like to share some ideas and strategies that I think could help you accomplish your goal of whatever it is. Because over that 8 weeks, I've been talking to them. I'm learning what their goals are, what their motivations are, so that I can help them see how I could be a valuable asset to them. Again, you want to create your own system. If you have my script book, my system is in there and it tells you what I do. You need to consistently work. The third point of this, you need to consistently work to generate listing appointments with For Sale by Owners and expireds, meaning every day. It's not an option. You got to get up and do it every day. My goal was if I could have 5 appointments set every single day of the week with For Sale by Owners and expireds, I knew that maybe 2, potentially 3 would be there to actually have the appointment. Then if I could get 2, I knew I'd be doing 10 appointments a week. And if I could do 10 appointments a week, for sure, guaranteed with people where I'm in front of them, that's 40 a month, I would have listings. And that's how I had 7 closings by my second month in real estate. And then the third thing when it comes to their scarce, competitive, and difficult to convert is you have the ability with for sale by owners and expireds to find them homes, like find for sale by owners and find expireds in the specific area that you want to work, in the specific price point. I mean, when buyers are calling you, they're calling you about anything. But think about this. You can go build your own inventory through listing for sale by owners and expireds and increase your price point. You know, if you don't want to sell $100,000 homes all the time, go list homes that are $300,000 or $400,000, or go list homes that are $1 million. Step up your price point, and you can choose who your clients are. I love that about for sale by owners and expireds. Here's the second challenge. Successful conversion requires a high level of skill. We talked about this a lot. But agents who are skilled, they're out competing agents with less skills. So if you have, someone asked the question, what do I do if I have a dual career? What if I do if I'm building my real estate business and I'm building it part-time? How do I do this? Well, you have to work overtime at being learning based and at growing your skill sets. It's really, really, really important. I see a note. Some say they can't join Zoom. They can go to the Facebook group. I've sent out multiple messages, multiple emails. And if you didn't join the Facebook group to watch the live stream, there's nothing I can do about that. So they can, that's the only way that they're going to be able to watch, is to log into Facebook to Real Estate 101. And I've said that so many times, I don't know how else to say it. So if you have a dual career, though, it's really important for you as an agent to go, I'm going to master my scripts and dialogues, work on my skill sets, be learning based. And then the time that I have to work, I'm going to treat this like a business. And in that time, I'm not going to be trying to learn how to work a website. I'm not going to be trying to learn how to make a flyer. I'm going to be on the phone setting as many appointments as I can, because that's the only thing that's going to move the needle when it comes to closer to the results that I desire. So if I want to exit that second career and make real estate my main career, then I have to focus on appointments, 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 because that's going to drive everything in your business. And if you're going on lots of appointments, but you're not working on your skill sets, you're going to struggle. You're going to burn through some people. And you're going to do that automatically in the beginning, because the learning process says in the beginning, we're unconsciously incompetent. We don't know what we don't know. And then we learn, okay, there's scripts and dialogues. This is a process. It's not a one and done type thing. I'm learning this. Now you become consciously incompetent. You know you don't know. And you say, I got to get better at this. I have to increase my skill set. I have to learn what to say. I keep getting the same things over and over and over again. I might want to have a prepared response that'll help overcome that objection or challenge, so I can keep that person moving forward in my process. And then you begin role playing. You find a partner who you can practice scripts. You can role play your presentations. You can practice overcoming objections. And now in your real appointments, you're improving. Your ratio's getting better. Because your skill set's getting better. You're learning. You're becoming a better agent. You're becoming a highly skilled listing machine. And then you move to the area where you're consciously competent. And you're doing, but you still have to think a little bit. I'll never forget, I had my scripts, and they were all up on the wall on these big flip chart sticky paper that was up on the wall. And it was all the objections that a for sale by owner or an expired listing could give to me. It was anything they could say. I had a response for that. And I had to, and then it got to a point where I didn't even have to read them, but I still had to think about it a little bit. And then I shifted to where it was unconsciously competent. It's like I was on autopilot. I didn't have to think about it. I can regurgitate my script to you like that for sale by owner. I mean, it's just like, and you can give me an objection, and you can ask my son. I used to teach a class called Stump the Chump, and it's where someone would just give you any objection. And when you do this enough, it's like you don't even have to think about it anymore. It just flows, because you've now taken scripts and you've memorized them. You've internalized them, meaning you understand the framework of the conversation. You make it yours. And that's the last part of that. You memorize it, you internalize it, and then you make it your own, and it just becomes natural for you. In the beginning, it's going to feel weird. It's not going to feel like you. You're going to go, this isn't going to work, because you're doing something new and you're uncomfortable, and you're either unconsciously incompetent or consciously incompetent, moving towards becoming consciously competent and unconsciously competent. And that's the learning process. And then you start that whole process all over again. So it's really important for you to understand that. And then also, so you're competing with these people and you have to go, I need to increase my skill set. I need to role play. I need to practice overcoming objections, role play all the different scenarios, master overcoming my objections, understanding the process, how to move people through that process. And then the final part of this in increasing your conversion ratio is agents who list for sell by owners and expireds they learn how to follow up. And so you have to master your follow-up skill sets. They don't give up on one conversation. They commit to having at least, at a minimum, 3 conversations before moving on. But I think you have multiple conversations over a period of time. That's why it's really important for you to use a CRM or a database. I don't care what CRM you use. The best one is the one that you use. So use a CRM where you can put that person in. You can have your campaign built. It's going to remind you when it's time to call them. It's going to remind you when you need to send a letter or a note in the mail. It's going to send an email automatically for you when it's time for that email to go out. It's going to send them a text message when it's time for that text message to go out to them. It's going to remind you to send them that special report when it's time for that special report to go out. It's going to remind you to tell them happy birthday when it's their birthday. Like, your database helps you manage the relationships that you have with people, whether it's your sphere of influence or whether it's a prospect like a for sale by owner or an expired. It's your gold. So you want to make sure that you learn how to use your database to help you follow up properly. The third challenge with for sale by owners and expireds is that lists contain unusable phone numbers. And so it's really important for you, if you want to go down this pathway to list for sale by owners and expireds, you must be willing to do your homework and find the best tools and systems to get accurate contact information for homeowners. I've always used LandVoice, and I found that information really accurate. I have friends of mine who use RedX, and they find that information accurate. Do you get sometimes numbers that aren't accurate? Sure you do, but overall, the big picture, most of the information that I get from LandVoice is accurate. Most of the information my friends get from RedX is accurate. So you just pick one of those and you go, well, you got to pay for that. You do, but it's minimal compared to the time you'd have to spend to go through and try to find that information. I also use a service called Spokio, and Spokio will allow me to put in somebody's phone number or address and get a little bit more information about them. So if I were out driving around and I passed it for sale by owner, I could jot down their address and I could put it in Spokio, and there's a really good chance, and that's SPOKEO.com. There's a really good chance that I'm going to get an accurate cell phone or a name of the person who lives in that home, potentially even a cell phone. So you have to find the best tools and systems that work for you. And if you go, well, where do I start? Find someone in your office who lists a lot of for sale by owners or a lot of expireds, and take them to lunch and pay for their lunch and pick their brain and just ask them to share with you what they do. What do they use? What do they use to get the accurate information? It's one of the best ways for you to really understand what's working for them. Again, back to modeling. Just go find someone who's doing what you want to do and ask them the right questions. Challenge number 4 is for sale by owners and expireds exclusively work, and expireds really give up, right? They're like waiting for you. I think it's even easier to list them for sale by owners. They're waiting for someone to help them. They have a few objections, but they're easier to overcome. But they exclusively use the internet to market their home. So if you're an agent and you're wanting to master listing for sale by owners, master listing expireds, then you have to learn how to do a proper needs analysis. I reached out to a great friend of mine. He coached me for years. Rich Rector does one of the best needs analysis around. I mean, when I say a needs analysis, it's asking really great questions so that you can uncover somebody's challenges and needs, and then you can turn around and provide the solution. And when you're on the phone asking some of these questions, or you're face to face and you're asking some of these questions, you would be amazed if you really listen. That seller is giving you the answer that you need to understand their motivation, so that you can, once you can connect with them emotionally and you understand their motivation, they will begin to look for reasons to justify why they should be working with you. And that's what you want to accomplish in this. And so understanding how to do a proper needs analysis, understanding how to ask the right questions to uncover their motivation and their needs is really, really, really powerful when it comes to understanding what's happening and helping move them through your process. This allows you to also help them see value in having you help them accomplish their goals. They will absolutely see that. So those are the 4 challenges. Let's talk for a second, and then I'll look at some of the questions, and next week we'll really dive into the system part of this, and then we're going to shift to your sphere of influence. But the 5 common opportunities that you have with for sale by owners and expireds. We looked at the 4 challenges. Let's look at the 5 opportunities. And anytime there's a challenge, there's always an opportunity there for you. And you want to look at the opportunities. Number 1, I didn't realize I did bullet points and numbers. Double digit on you right there. So number 1, they're really easy to identify. I mean, like for sale by owners and expireds, they're waving their hand and they're going, help me sell my home. Even though they tell you they don't want to work with a realtor, 86% of them list with a realtor. The majority of them are going to work with a realtor. And so they're really easy to identify. They put a sign in their yard. They're on the internet. You can go pull expireds, or you can sign up for a service like with Land Voice or with RedX. And every day they'll send you new for sale by owners and new expireds to call. So they're really easy to identify. The second opportunity, what that means for you is you can go get a lot of appointments. You can go schedule a lot of appointments. You can have appointments out the wazoo if you want to with for sale by owners and expireds. It gives you great practice ground too, to get in front of people and practice your scripts and practice what to say, practice overcoming objections, practice your listing presentation. And then the more you do it, if you continue to work on mastery, then you'll see your conversion ratio increase. The second is go to the door. I mean, you can go right up to their door. I mean, you go right up and talk to them. They've been for sale by owners. I will never forget. I had some clients, and they were in the car with me, and we were driving, and I was showing them homes, and they were for sale by owner. And what was interesting is we passed by a for sale by owner, and I knew right away they were going to want to see that for sale by owner. And so I stopped and I said, let me go see if I can get us in this home too, since we're already in the subdivision. I knew they were going to circle back and go to them. So I literally went, knocked on the door. They came out. I said, I've got some clients in my car, and I did a single listing, single client listing with agreement with these for sale by owners on a napkin. I wrote it on a napkin, had them sign the napkin. They didn't want to sign the napkin. I said, then I'm not going to bring them in. And I walked back. You can tell how prepared I was, right? I found a napkin. I didn't have anything in the trunk of my car. This is back before this was paper contracts were the thing. And I'm walking back to my car, and they stopped me right before I got to the door. And they said, well, sign it. Those clients bought that house, and that seller tried to not pay me a commission, but because I had that napkin, I got paid. True story. So you can go right to their door, and you can knock on their door and get face to face with someone who wants to sell their house. The third is old expireds. You can go through, I know RedX does this, Land Voice does this. They will give you old expireds. And those are people who tried to sell maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and for some reason their house didn't sell, unrealistic expectations. Maybe it was the condition of the home. Maybe it was the agent. Maybe something changed in their world, but you can follow back up, and they probably, if it's the same owner still there, they probably still have a desire to sell their home, and there's more equity probably in that home that could make it actually work out this time around. So old expireds are an opportunity for you to go after, especially if you're new and you're new in the business and you don't have enough leads to meet or exceed your goals. You want to talk to anybody who remotely is thinking about selling their home. And the fourth is you have the opportunity to be persistent and to consistently touch for sell by owners and expireds. They're everywhere. You can find them. They're easy to connect with. You can call them. You can go right up to their door and knock on their door. And it's going to help you to really build your skill set when it comes to follow up with people. It's going to help you learn how to use your database, because if you're going on 2 or 3 appointments a day, 5 days a week, that's 40 to 60 appointments a month. And if you're doing that, you're going to have a database to keep up with who you talk to, especially if you're following up and touching those people 1 or 2 times a week for 8 weeks. So it's going to give you the ability, the opportunity to learn how to really use your database to follow up properly with your prospects and put them in this system so that you consistently touch them. And then finally, use text or email if the seller doesn't answer the phone. You've got their contact information. You're able to text them. You're able to send them an email if you're using a service that's going to provide you that data. Or if you find them online, you can usually type in the address and find them online. And if they're for sale by owner, and reach out to the seller if they don't take your call or if they don't answer the door when you go knock on the door. So you have lots of opportunity to list for sale by owners and expireds. So what I'm going to do real quick is go into the chat and see what questions we've got. If you have a question, go ahead and throw it in there. I'm going to go into Facebook as well and see if we have any questions or comments on Facebook that I can answer real quick. So if you've got a question, go ahead and chat it in the chat box or put it in the comments. And yes, Trish, you could go to get the tax records also. There's so many different avenues, and again, it's a way for you to really begin to explore if this is an avenue you want to go down. And I started here because this is, like I said, the low-hanging fruit. Nicole, you've been in the business 2 months, not getting leads or don't know how to get them. You want to start by, I think, going to your sphere of influence, which we're going to focus on 2 weeks from now in this Sunday night class. Every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, live streamed in this Facebook group, also on Zoom. And I'm increasing my capacity for participants in Zoom. So I know it struck people out at 100 once we clicked over 100 people. So I would tell you, Nicole, start with your sphere of influence and then dive right into FSBOs in conjunction with that, because those are people who are in expireds, because those are people who want to list their home. Let's see if I look in the chat box. Where do you look up FSBOs, Zillow, Craigslist? I would start, Jim, with I would actually start with a service like LandVoice or RedX. And then if I didn't want to do that, I would type in your city or your area, FSBOs, and see what pops up on Google. But then you're going to have to cross-reference it to make sure it's not listed with a realtor. And then as far as Rhonda, as far as cold calling, I would speak to your broker and ask them that question. But at least I know that in Louisiana, I don't know Texas because I'm new to Texas. I just moved to Austin. Did I tell you guys that? But if someone is actively selling their home and you're a realtor and you're calling them to preview the home, then you're okay. So now I'm not telling you, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to tell you, you can be sued for anything today. But hopefully that helps you. Challenge 2 slide. Can I show that again? Let me get back into it real quick, and JR, and I will share it real quick for you. I'm going to share it like this though, not in presentation mode. So challenge 2, successful conversion requires a high level of skill. Again, this is really important for you, because if you're going after for sale by owners and expireds, you're anything really in the business. If you're prospecting and lead generating, you're going to be going up against agents who are more skilled than you if you're not working on your skill sets when it comes to setting appointments, getting appointments, and converting those appointments to listings. And what that boils down to is scripts and dialogue, listing presentations, understanding how to do a needs analysis and ask great questions. I started to talk about this, but Rich Rector, I'm interviewing him. I got his thumbs up to interview him yesterday. I'll be talking to him tomorrow to schedule a time in the next 2 weeks where I'll be interviewing Rich Rector about why it's important to do a needs analysis and how to properly do a needs analysis as well. But it's really important. Those are the skill sets I'm talking about. Asking the right questions, overcoming the objections, scripts to getting the appointment, how to talk on the telephone when you're calling and prospecting, the skill set when it comes to sharing your value proposition and what sets you apart from all of the other agents. That's really, really, really important. And then finally is the art of follow-up. That's where the money is made in this business. So agents who list for sell by owners and expireds learn how to follow up properly, how to use their database, how to set reminders to follow back up with someone so that they're having 3 or 4 or 5 conversations versus most agents only having one conversation. So I hope that helps, JR. A few good CRMs. I think there are lots of CRMs out there. I think I'll tell you, I've used over the years, I've used Top Producer. I've used Sync. I've used KV Core. I've used Contactually, Salesforce. Those are all really good CRMs. I think it's you just finding what works for you and then really mastering that CRM, and whichever one you have access. Realty Juggler. A lot of people use Realty Juggler. You can go ask 10 different agents in your office and you're probably going to get 10 different answers on what CRM that they use, but those are all a few good ones for you, to at least a starting point for you. And let me hop back over to Facebook and make sure I didn't miss any questions there in the comments before we wrap up tonight. Jim, first time tuning in. Man, thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. Tracy, I'm so glad you love my flag. I worked hard to get this up. Your leads, My Leads Plus has FSBO inspired leads. There you go, Juanita. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if you, Patricia, I'm so excited. I'm here. I can't even tell you how excited I am that I'm in Texas, and specifically here in Austin. But if you are an agent and you aggressively work for sell by owners, I would absolutely love the opportunity to chat with you and interview you if you're having success. And success for me would mean you're setting lots of appointments and you're listing, anywhere from 3 to 10 for sell by owners that you're listing in a month. That would be great. And I'd love to hear what you're doing and interview you so we could have a follow-up to this conversation with a handful of agents. So if you're crushing it in that area, send me a message on Facebook, or you can send me an email, grow@jonathandupree.com, grow@jonathandupree.com, and I'll follow up and we'll set a time to chat so I can interview you and have that out. The last 2 things I want to share with you before I wrap up this evening, I'd love to have a strategy call with you, and this call is a call to really help you understand how to see your real estate business through the lens of technology. And if you want to get that strategy session, that call, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's me asking you lots of questions about your business and then sharing some ideas and strategies that are going to help you to grow your business, specifically looking at your business through the lens of technology, giving you some marketing ideas as well to help you to grow your business and increase your thought share, your market share in the people in your community's mind, where they think of you when they think of real estate. If you want to book that call, you can go to meetingwithjonathan.com, meetingwithjonathan.com. I'll post the link here in Zoom in the chat box, and I'll also post it in Facebook for you guys that are watching the Facebook stream as well. And it doesn't matter what brokerage you're with. This is a call just to learn about your business. We're not going to talk about companies. We're going to talk about your real estate business and how you can grow your real estate business and begin to get to where you want to be in your business. And then the last thing I want to share is this new group coaching program. Our next call is, I believe I sent the email out. I think it's July 29th. It's the last Monday or Tuesday of the month. But if you go to realestatemasteryschool.com and you click on the tab that says, I'm going to share it real quick. This middle one that says group coaching, it's $47 a month. You have access to recorded classes. There's already content in there. Every month I'm adding new content. You get access to my script book. There's all these courses that you see on here that you can purchase separately are in there. And you have one guaranteed group coaching session through Zoom with me every single month. And some months we'll have more than one. If I've got a great person I can snag and play an interview. And so you'll always have lots and lots of great information. And I priced this where any agent could participate in it. So you can go to realestatemasteryschool.com or just click the link. Again, I'll post that in the chat as well. If you're looking for coaching, this is a great way for you to get into coaching without having this super expensive real estate commitment to hiring a coach. So I posted that in both places, in Zoom and on the Facebook live stream. Hey, thank you for this new platform, for being willing to hop on this new platform. I know we had several people who couldn't get in because they were not a member of our group. And at the same time, they couldn't get into Zoom because we had it maxed out. But that's okay. And next week, they'll be a member of the group. They'll join the group, and then they'll be able to see the live stream. I'll always be streaming in our group. So share the group. Share it with the people in your organization, in your company, in your brokerage, guests that you're inviting. Have them join our group, Real Estate 101. Just go there now. Click on the share button, type a little message, send it out, and that way your friends can participate. All my recordings are on Patreon. You can find that information in the useful links that I shared earlier to have access to that. And I am increasing my attendee space by tenfold this week in Zoom, so we won't have this problem next week. Thank you guys for being here. I do see two questions that just popped up. Let me... what exactly did I write on the napkin? That's a great question. It was so long ago, I don't exactly remember, but it was something to the effect that it was a limited listing. I didn't represent the sellers. I only represented the buyers. If the buyers purchased that property, the sellers agreed to pay me a commission. I don't remember what commission I put in, but I most likely put in we all know commissions are negotiable. I probably put in a 3% commission. And every time that seller tried to get me to do something for him, I had to tell him I didn't represent him. I only represented the buyers. And if he wanted me to do his job, I'd be more than happy to, but we would have to have an actual listing agreement where he agreed to pay me for the work I was doing for him as well. So it was a crazy deal how it worked out, but that napkin saved my behind. I will tell you that. Hey, thank you guys for watching. Have a fantastic night.